The reason why I'm going to be talking about this is I saw a conversation in the Rumble chat last week where people were discussing a few doctors in the chat, and supposedly they are the good doctors that were fighting COVID and all that type of stuff. And I didn't see it at the time, but one of my mods happened to see it. One of the tools saw it and said, no, these guys aren't good. And I also get asked often regarding why I pretty much don't trust anybody. That's something that I get thrown at me a lot, is you just don't trust anybody. It's like, yeah, I really don't. There's none that I can just sit there and go, yeah, whatever they say, that's good. I can trust on that. I've always got to do vetting, but there is, and I've talked about it before, a new quote unquote freedom information network that's being created, news network that's being developed right now, and it's off the backs of places like Rumble and the podcasters and stuff. We've talked about them before. I've kind of pointed out people here and there when it goes to that, but there's so many of them now, and they all appear to be on our side. They all appear to be doing the good thing, because they're against what everything else, all the leftists and the liberals and whatever you want to call them, are against. And so they were the ones that spoke out about the COVID stuff. They're the ones that are talking about the bad stuff going on in the government that other people don't want to talk about, and so on and so forth. And it's like, that's part of that disinformation, building false trust stuff. Remember the WEF? They had their Davos meeting that was called Rebuilding Trust. And we see the things that's going on with places like podcasters like Sean Ryan and Joe Rogan and stuff. They're inviting these people on that are controversial because they're going against the narrative, and they want you to do that. They want you to be built up on their side, kind of the same thing that happened with Trump pre-selection. And so I'm going to show you why I am where I'm at now. This isn't anything like new. It may be new to a lot of you guys. This is something that I've been tracking for a while. But I thought it would be a good time to talk about it, especially since we've got such an increase of news coming out now. It's worth doing this. And so I'm going to take you on a little journey regarding that. And so with the name of this episode, Net Wellness, somebody managed to actually guess it already. We're going to be starting with a company called the Wellness Company. This is one of those freedom. We're going to be giving you all the quote unquote controversial cures to fix things. We've been against the coof stuff. We've been against all these things. And they're one of the main people that is connected to this new news freedom network, whatever you want to call it. And so we're going to be starting with the Wellness Company, because this is a place that I wouldn't trust ever. I would never buy any of their stuff ever. I don't suggest other people do, but that's your own decision. And to those who are connected to this company, whether they know it or not, I wouldn't trust them either, because I always take this approach. If these people are always put in the spotlight, always put in a prominent position, whether left or right, they are allowed to be there. That's my perspective on it. And I hold to that perspective, and I think it's served me well so far. So if you want to roll that way, I'm perfectly on board with that. Okay, so Wellness Company. We're going to be taking a look at their leadership. What the Wellness Company, again, they serve, or they supposedly sell these packs of vitamins, medicines, cures, and tinctures, and all these things, like the ivermectin stuff and all that type of stuff. So they sell this stuff. Again, I wouldn't trust any of it. And so if we go to the leadership, we're going to be taking a look at specifically two people. We're going to be looking at Foster Coulson, who's the big one. But then we're also going to be looking at Peter Gillooly. That's the best I got. Peter Gillooly. These two are very revealing. And as we go along, again, you'll see why I don't think that we should be trusting the narratives being pushed by the spokespeople for this company. So just hang along with me. So, Foster Coulson and Peter Gillooly. Let's take a look. First up, Peter Gillooly. We'll get to Foster in just a second. Peter Gillooly selected as a top CEO of the year by the IAOTP. This was March 25th. And so he'll be a member of the International Association of Top Professionals and so on and so forth. Now, Peter Gillooly, CEO of the wellness company, was recently selected as top CEO of the year for the 2025, so on and so forth. Inclusion with the International Association of Top Professionals is an honor in itself. Only a few members of each discipline are chosen for this distinction. So first things first, this guy who's apparently part of this anti-narrative group, part of the anti-narrative that's being pushed out there, and has created this hot button wellness company, which gets put through the ringer through the left-wing media, is now getting awarded for his work regarding it, which is, again, red flag. Little things like that should be standing up for us, should be standing out for us. With over a decade of experience in the industry, Mr. Gillooly certainly proven himself as an expert in the field. As a dynamic, results-driven leader, he's the CEO of the wellness company, a cutting-edge healthcare company with premium care is provided while seeking to fundamentally change the relationship between patients and the medical industry. So again, we got some red flags there. But his most important recent role was Vice President of Operations at Dust Identity, responsible for defining and executing growth at a venture-backed supply chain startup. Okay, so what on earth is Dust Identity? It's probably what you guys think it is. Developing solutions that put trust in things that matter now and into the future. At Dust Identity, we believe that the authentic products tell powerful stories and build beloved brands. Our customers come to us in search of advanced identity tools to protect and connect the most valuable products and physical objects from battlefields to playing fields and everything in between. We deliver elegant, acceptable, long-lasting solutions that solve our customers' need for more control over their brand, products, and parts. Dust Identity is smart dust. So the guy who is CEO of the wellness company that is stuff that goes inside of people's bodies just happens to be part of a smart dust company as well. Nanoparticles that can be tracked and scanned for identity purposes. Now, I'm not saying one is in the other, but one can certainly think that that's a good opportunity to use that. So what is the best way? What is, just critical thinking, what is the best way to get all of those who oppose the COOF stuff to still manage to get this junk in their bodies? Present an alternative that is against it, and they're going to be happily taking it, especially since all of their podcasters and news sources are promoting this as well. So it must be good because my favorite person is promoting it. So it must be good. And it's a good way to start getting all this stuff in there. 2011, co-founders Ofer Gathen, Jonathan Hodges, and Dirk Englund met as 3 PhDs at Columbia University studying the quantum characteristics of diamonds. A few years later at MIT, DARPA approached them. So now we've got something really cooking, because now we've got the wellness company who's one of the main guys involved is connected to a smart dust company that is now connected to DARPA. A few years later at MIT, DARPA approached them with a critical problem in supply chain security. Trusted physical identity of high-value components didn't exist. The team recognized that the quantum properties of microscopic diamonds made them uniquely suited for creating physical fingerprints for products and part traceability. From there, Dust Identity was born. Today, Dust is embedded in some of the most complex value streams of organizations, leading initiatives centered around national security. So, we got something very interesting going on here. A lot of interesting connections. DARPA, healthcare, smart dust. And so far, we have one dude that's all connected, involved with that. Now, if we keep going, we get the idea of what's going on with this product itself. Dust Identity's leading edge authentication solutions redefines what's possible for object identity. Our digitally linked diamond dust tags are a foundational layer for trusted transactions of physical objects. So unique tags every time, crafted from high diamond dust suspended in high performance materials. Our tamper evident physical marks can be discreetly applied to almost anything. You just don't know it's there, but it can still be applied. Scan and connect instantly. Our handheld scanner anchors each unique tag to its objects, connects it to a digital ledger, and establishes authenticity. Real-time verification, portable, secure, compatible with existing devices. Manage and expand an object's value. Our identity management system lets you log important metadata, make critical business decisions, or create new customer experiences across the object's life. These are things that can absolutely be applied to medicinal things that we put inside of us. That's a theory that's been around for a long time. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm not saying that it does, because we don't really have any way of confirming that. But I do find it interesting that one of the guys who's very involved with both of these companies, how that could be a very significant crossover, especially since you have DARPA involved with that. Why do you have somebody who's supposedly a part of this freedom group? Why is he teaming up with DARPA, who's very anti-freedom group? Again, those are questions that we should all be asking ourselves in regards to this. You guys following me so far? This is the wonderful world of what's going on with this quote-unquote freedom network. We'll get there. We just got to make sure that we're laying the groundwork in regards to this. Now, if we keep going, we get to Coulson. Foster Coulson, who's the founder and chairman of the wellness group. There's another co-founder that helped him form this back in 2022. We'll get to that guy in just a second, but let's stay with Foster real quick. So Coulson Capital. Foster Coulson comes from the Coulson Group. The Coulson Group is a major family-run aviation group where they build helicopters and they're involved with a whole bunch of things like that. He's one of the sons of the people who founded that, and he left them to start his own thing called Coulson Capital. Let's take a look at some of the brands. First up, we got the wellness company, which is kind of the main theme that we're going along with here. Holistic Goddess. That right there is enough that should be sending off warning flags. Holistic Goddess, empowering women's health with more of their wellness products. Hey, remember this guy? One of the main prominent dudes during the whole COOF thing where he was a part of the freedom side fighting against the left when it comes to this. Yeah. Empowering health freedom with innovative solutions and transparency for a healthier, and it cuts off. But Zelenko Protocol, that guy, he's not alive anymore. But yes, he's a part of this as well. He'll pop up again. You got Wellness Pay, involved with payment stuff on there. We Roar. Let's see, Patriot RX. How many people have heard of them before? We believe in rebuilding humanity. 1775 Coffee. Again, we'll see them in a minute too. But a coffee brand. Dr. Drew, who's one of the dudes involved with the wellness company. If you guys want to take a look. Yeah, Peter McCullough is involved with that. He was one of the main leaders against the COOF stuff. There's Dr. Drew right there. Drew Pinsky. He's got his podcasts and everything like that. And then you guys can take a look. Kelly Victory is another one that has that. James Thorpe is involved with this. We got Ben Tapper, Paul E. Alexander, and Haydar Sophia Elbaz. These are all people that we've seen in the space when it comes to the anti-2020 stuff. See, the thing is this all branched out of the 2020 situation. This stuff, the wellness stuff came out. The new narrative network of podcasters and all that stuff started coming out as well. The news sources started to divide as well. Alternative media news sources started to get built up. And so this is where all this came from, is after the 2020 stuff, there was the left versus the right. It was the good versus the bad. It was the left versus the blue. This was the globalists versus the nationalists and so on and so forth. Kind of sounds like the great ReAwakening tour, right? Yeah. We'll get to that again as well, because most of the people that we're going over were involved with that as well, which just, again, shows us a whole lot of what's going on. So Dr. Drew, positive. I don't know how many people with healthcare or pets that go to positive. Well, they're a part of that. Rumble Marketplace. The Coulson group created the official Rumble store. That should be telling, because Rumble is supposedly the right wing or the good version of the left wing bad YouTube, right? That's what we've been told. All of the pro-freedom people are getting deals with Rumble. That should be telling you. Investments, Scriptful, power your business with prescription solutions. Call Me Doc, which is one of those online doctor things. Q Biologics. Q Biologics site-specific immunomodulators are designed to restore normal immune function to treat and prevent cancer, chronic inflammatory diseases, and metabolic diseases. The very same stuff that is being used in the bad stuff is going on with this one, but it's okay because it's the good guys doing it, right? Momentix Capital, which is a venture capital group, and NanoBioSim. NanoBioSim was founded to create breakthrough scientific insights and transformational technologies that emerge from the convergence of physics, nanotechnology, and biomedicine. This has to do with nanotechnology being involved in medicine or wellness company and smart dust. You guys see the connection with what we got going on here? So these are the things that they're doing. We're going to be taking a look at a few of them along the way, but let's focus on NanoBioSim for a moment. This is as big as I can get their website. I apologize. So I'll read what's important. NanoBioSim is all about combining quantum, nanotechnology, and biomedicine together. This is about rewriting genetic code inside of us using little machine technology. And it is run, who's the chairman and scientific director, by Dr. Anita Goel. Well, who is Dr. Anita Goel? Let's take a look. Chairman and CEO of NanoBioSim and NanoBioSim Diagnostics, Dr. Goel has harnessed these fundamental rights to invest, incubate, and start commercializing next-generation nanotechnology platforms like Gene Radar for mobile and personalized health, energy harvesting, and quantum computing with molecular nanomachines that read and write information in DNA. Her pioneering works have been recognized globally by prestigious honors and awards, including multiple awards from the U.S. government agencies such as DARPA, Department of Defense, Department of Energy, AFOSUR, the NSF, USAID, and HHS. And most importantly, was awarded the X Prize by the 2013 Nokia Sensing X Challenge. So keep in mind that the same people who are offering you the wellness stuff that's supposedly anti this are also funding the bad stuff. Do you think that that's not getting put into their wellness stuff? Well, that's up to you to decide on that. What I did find regarding her, pull this up, she did a online speaking engagement not too long ago, 2023, and this was one of her slides. If you guys have been paying attention to the End Times New Age series, or you've started reading my book, the Eden to End book, this should be making a whole lot of sense, because this is exactly what I go over in that book. Classical and quantum physics, life and living systems, nanoscale information processing, and at the center of all three is consciousness. She is literally pushing the mystery religion within this technology. It's right there. That's her slide. She put it up. This is the stuff that should be put forward. This is the stuff that we should be talking about. But we get so caught up sometimes in just the physical of things that we lose track of the spiritual when it comes to this. And this is why it's so important that we realize the underlying factor of what's going on when it comes to this, the spiritual war, the spiritual war, the spiritual war. That is what we're called to look for, is the spiritual war. And so we got to make sure that we're paying attention to that. So we got her, who's leading this thing. Then we've got this guy, NanoBioSim Distinguished Board of Advisors, Dr. Robert S. Langer. How many people have heard this dude before? You may have not heard his name, but you have definitely heard what he's a part of. Robert S. Langer is a part of this. Moderna co-founder Robert Langer is leaving the Pioneers board. So the same guys are giving you an alternative wellness group is funding a nanotechnology biomedical company with somebody from DARPA and the co-founder of Moderna. This should be really making all loads of sense. After 14 years on the board of Moderna, the biotech that became a household name after developing the mRNA COOF stuff, chemical engineer Robert Langer is retiring from the company's board. All right. Langer, Langer is one of 9 institute professors at MIT, the highest title a faculty member can achieve at the university, according to his biography on the lab's website. Langer has written more than 1,600 academic articles, holds more than about 1,500 issued and pending patents, and is the most cited engineer in history. His sprawling research lab has launched countless companies, including several that have been acquired by big pharmas like Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer. Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer. The modest Moderna co-founder and multi-billionaire Robert Langer shares his secrets to success. Oh, doesn't he look like a happy fellow? Oh, he's sitting there with a load of regret going, what did I do? Yeah. What did you do, my man? Anyways, let's see. Where's the thing that I wanted to point out this? Yeah, the MIT professor who still regularly goes into the lab has also founded more than 40 other companies and holds around 1,400 patents and is the most published and cited scholar of all time. So we got that. And of course, Langer's patents have been licensed or sub-licensed to over 400 pharmaceutical, chemical, biotechnology, and medical device companies. His breakthrough research into business acumen advanced the delivery of of something, I'm not going to say that, medical treatments, including mRNA stuff, insulin, anti-cancer drugs, and more. His patents had launched over 350 pharmaceutical, chemical, biotech, and medical device companies. So he's all involved with this stuff. What did that say real quick? Oh, yeah. Sorry. I thought I read something that wasn't there. Keep going. And a top scientist and Moderna co-founder changed the CRO game. From his advisory board role at Lindus Health, Robert Langer is aiming to overcome challenges in this market. But what is important regarding this is down here. Langer isn't the only name with hands in Lindus's path forward. The company has raised more than $24 million from Peter Thiel and other tech and biopharma investors. So we've got Peter Thiel connected to this dude as well. So this NanoSim group that Foster Coulson, co-founder of Wellness Company, is literally the opposite of what he says he stands for. Filled with people that push the opposite of what he says that he does not push. So what's going on here? Well, again, I think it's deception. I think it's a false narrative where these people truly don't care about you. They're playing the game to get you to go along with all these other things. All right. So with Foster Coulson here, I got so many tabs open. With Foster Coulson here, we see what his Coulson group is funding. We see what's going on in regards to that. Again, we'll take a look at a few of the other ones real quick. But what I want to do first is I want to show you his partner. I said in 2022, Foster Coulson co-founded the wellness company with another guy. Well, who was that other guy? Well, let's start following that rabbit trail, shall we? Foster Coulson is connected to IntegroCap, which is a venture capitalist group. They fund things, and him and his partner that funded what the wellness company were involved with this. Who is that? David Lopez is this guy who he's like a ghost. You'll see him pop up here and there, but he stays very quiet and out of the spotlight most of the time. He does not like to be involved with this stuff. But David Lopez is a former Navy SEAL turned serial entrepreneur. He backs a broad variety of entrepreneurial cases or causes spanning early stages business development with a special focus on innovative tech startups and blockchain technology, luxury tourism, and the international energy sector. Let's learn a little bit more about this guy because this dude is a big connection that we definitely need to know more about. So the IntegroCap. We take a look, one of the big things is the International Health Brands. This is one of the big ones that they formed together. International Health Brands' mission is to provide the world with all natural health supplements that are the product of bold innovation and thorough scientific research. The wellness company is involved with the IHB along with a couple of other health brands as well. This goes to show that they really do spend a lot of time and a lot of money in regards to the health. Now, if we jump over to Zelenko Labs, we'll also find David Lopez is involved with this. Remember, Zelenko Labs is part of the Coulson Capital brand group. So again, Zelenko Labs, this dude is all about these health products. Again, more health products. Story, Zelenko Labs began with Dr. Zelenko's efforts to save lives at the very beginning of the COOF pandemic. Again, out of 2020. This started happening. Zev wanted to find a way to naturally boost the immune system using a natural American-made kosher product aligned with his award-winning Zelenko protocol. Dr. Zelenko joined with the founders below, and Zelenko Labs was born out of necessity. Within a matter of months, what they started as the Z-Stack supplement. Z-Stack is something that you will find in the wellness company store as well. The Z-Stack supplement grew into a successful corporation and, more importantly, a worldwide movement for medical freedom. Zev is no longer with us, but his vision and legacy live on with with a family of products designed in accordance with his final wishes. When you purchase Zelenko Lab products, you are not only investing in your health for a future in you and your family, you are preserving his legacy and continuing to fight against medical tyranny. Not sure I believe that, honestly. Boom. There they are, the partners, Foster Coulson and David Lopez. They are the main dudes involved with this. So we got David Lopez involved with the wellness company. We got David Lopez involved with the IHB. We got David Lopez involved with the Zelenko Labs, all connected with Foster Coulson as well. Let's learn a little bit more about David, shall we? We jump over here to Mission 06. We get a little backstory on the ghost that is David Lopez. David Lopez served as a U.S. Navy SEAL and is a subject matter expert on tactical operations, classified global counterterrorism operations, terrorist countermeasures, protection, security, and close quarter combat tactics. Mr. Lopez has a tremendous depth of experience in these areas and has highly specialized training and support of classified intelligence operations. Beyond this, his intense military training and expertise is invaluable since he understands critical process performance and can advise on optimization for a variety of areas in these fields. Since leaving the U.S. Navy, Dave has trained over 20 SWAT teams around the U.S. in advanced tactics and close quarter combat. He has also instructed numerous special response teams of the Department of Homeland Security. David Lopez has conducted multiple rescue missions with Operation Underground Railroad. Does that sound familiar? An organization that pursues sex traffickers around the world, which directly led to the rescue of over 200 children and the arrest of over 50 traffickers. Let's pause here before we start going any further. Operation Underground Railroad. They were the main people behind that movie out of the Mormon Studios, Angel Studios, called The Sound of Freedom. Now, I remember when that movie came out, I warned people, I said, don't support this thing because it's not what people think. The money is not going where it's supposed to be going. The company that's behind it is not a company that we need to be supporting. And there was something sketchy about what was going on with the whole Operation Underground Railroad situation. Some stuff started to come out. What exactly am I talking about? Well, the main dude behind Operation Underground Railroad was Tim Ballard. New court filings detailed Tim Ballard's discipline with the LDS Church. New court documents, this was 2024, filed in a lawsuit against Tim Ballard have revealed new details about his standing with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Ballard was the founder and CEO of Operation Underground Railroad, a nonprofit seeking to combat human trafficking. He permanently separated from the organization after the Underground Railroad employees fired internal complaints accusing him of sexual misconduct. He's currently a defendant in 4 civil lawsuits. 3 of the 4 lawsuits centered around Ballard's alleged sexual misconduct, according to his female accusers. Ballard is also the subject of at least 7 criminal investigations. Prior to the civil suits being filed, the LDS Church released a statement citing betrayal and condemning Ballard for morally unacceptable behavior. The statement accused Ballard of improperly using the name of President M. Russell Ballard for personal advantage. At the time, Russell Ballard was serving as the acting president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. Despite sharing the same last name, they are not related. But yeah, you kind of get an idea of who this guy is. Also, one of the executive producers of the movie, Tony Robbins. Yes, that Tony Robbins also had quite a few accusations against him, including one which was back in 1985 when a girl who was a teenager at the time said that she was sexually abused by Tony Robbins. He was also on site during the filming of that movie. On site of the filming of that movie. Mormon company with people involved with this thing that are very sketchy, including David Lopez and Tony Robbins. There's another executive producer that also had accusations against child things as well. We're not going to get into that. And then Tim Ballard, the main guy behind it, is also involved with that as well. Are we sure that what was on the screen really was what was being done? Man, I got run through the ringer when I came out in opposition against that movie. And more reveals that maybe that was the right choice. We'll get back to this in a second, but we want to go here. How ex-SEAL on child rescue missions became island kingpin. Let's take a look. When a former Navy SEAL that with ties to a raft of Trump world figures, that's right, he's heavily involved with Trump stuff as well, figures landed in Haiti nearly a decade ago. His punitive mission was to lead raid and rescue operations that would recover missing American child. But by his own account, he did little work in that direction, and the Daily Beast has discovered that it instead fell into the Caribbean state's thorny politics and into an unbelievable business deal. Control of the Paradise Island, I'm not even going to pronounce that, that poor Erik Prince seized from its inhabitants. I'll show you that in just a second because that's actually legit. Since David Lopez left the elite special ops forces, his resume has featured a stint with Erik Prince's mercenary firm, Blackwater. Oh, we'll get to him in just a second. That's this next part in this. Now serves as a special projects manager for Blackwater and conducts security operations around the world for select clients. We'll get to Erik Prince in just a second. The launch of the anti-CRUF supplement company, wellness company, and multiple ventures with former Trump Customs and Immigration Services Chief Ken Cucciolini. But the gig that sent him to Haiti and entangled him with Port-au-Prince's power brokers positioned him to win the rights to build what his team vows will be the struggling country's answer to Disney World. Was his role at Operation Underground Railroad. The railroad and its founder, Tim Ballard, became nationally famous last summer with the release of its fictionalized cinematic origin story, Sound of Freedom. And then infamous in the fall, Ballard faces claims of sexual predation and, of course, and of self-enrichment at the expense of the organization's donors. Ballard has cast his allegations as a smear campaign designed to besmirch his name and extort cash. Sorry, I can read, I promise. But in years past, Ballard and Operation Railroad had enjoyed a level of celebrity on the political right, where their mission of disrupting alleged child trafficking networks resonated with a fringe inflamed with the conspiracy theories about elites. It's not conspiracy theory. We've been over that. But experts on exploitation warn that the group's flashy tactics, which include filmed sweeps of supposed underage dens, serve the self-styled saviors more than the victims. But Ballard developed his ties with Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes and with the then Senator Orrin Hatch secured an appointment with then President Donald Trump to a new council on human trafficking in 2019. And according to the conservative radio host Hugh Hewitt, enjoyed the personal I can't pronounce that either, of Trump National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien. There's a lot of connections between these two dudes, David Lopez and Erik Prince, to Trump. And we're going to be going over some of that as well. Here's where we go. Sound of Freedom dramatized a 2013 raid in Colombia in which David Lopez reportedly participated. But in Ballard's own telling, the railroad's real birthplace was several hundred miles north of Haiti. They have an obsession with Haiti, a big obsession with Haiti. Almost like they went to Haiti for the child trafficking stuff to spark the deal to get the island, which again, we'll see in just a second. The head of the railroad's operations in Haiti was David Lopez. The ex-SEAL also served as Ballard's lieutenant in another of his signature projects, the Glenn Beck-founded Nazarene Fund, formed to rescue Christians from persecution in the Middle East. Glenn Beck will make another appearance a little bit later as well. And later, it was Lopez who gave up information to investigators in a probe that led to Ballard's public disgrace. It just keeps going. It just keeps going. But I think we get the idea of what's going on here. A lot of connections to quote-unquote conservatives, a lot of connections to the Trump administration, and a lot of connections to supposed freedom narrative groups. So what's this island, Haiti island thing? Well, David Lopez is CEO and founder of Watersmark. Our mission, breaking the cycle of social and economic poverty. So supposedly their goal is to go to indigenous places and help establish prosperity among the poor. Not exactly what you're thinking. And it's all through transportation and tourism. So about making them giant retreats and resorts for the rich to come to poor islands. And you think that that money is really going to make it to the poor people of there? I highly doubt that. What do they impact? Let's take a look at what they impact. Social and physical infrastructure, medical public services, so on and so forth. But we kind of start getting into stuff like banking the unbanked, carbon credits, political risk insurance. Let's see. There's a couple other ones on here as well. Housing initiatives, access to courts, tokenized real estate and blockchain, reverse brain drain, circular economy. Yeah. This is kind of the same stuff that the WEF and the globalists and stuff all want to be a part of as well. If that's not enough, their ideal and vision has to do with the Sustainable Development Goals on that Haiti island right there. So apparently this dude who's supposed to be all for the right and all for the good stuff seems to be quite the opposite of everything that he's supposedly supporting in regards to that. It's fascinating how that works. So, if we get back here, we were introduced to Erik Prince, who is the founder of Blackwater, the private security firm, PMC, private military company. It's basically what it is. So, Blackwater is now known as a group called Constellus. Blackwater went through several mergers. They merged into one company and then merged into another one, and then eventually became Triple Canopy, which then merged with these other groups to create Constellus. So it's quite a large group now. So Blackwater is connected to this. Well, let's learn a little bit about Blackwater and Erik Prince, shall we? Blackwater founder Erik Prince accused in U.S. District Court of intent to kill. This is involved with a group called the Nisour Square Massacre, where 17 innocent Iraqi civilians were murdered by Erik Prince and his Blackwater goons. Founder Blackwater USA deliberately caused the deaths of innocent civilians in a series of shootings in Iraq. Attorneys for Iraqis suing the security contractor told a federal judge Friday. The attorneys singled out Erik Prince for the blame in the deaths of more than 20 Iraqis between 2005 and 2007. 6 former Blackwater guards were criminally charged in 14 of the shootings, and family members and victims' estates sued Prince. Blackwater, now called XE Services, that's one of the groups that they changed it to, and a group of related companies. Attorneys for the former Blackwater company denied the allegations at the hearing. There's a lot of evidence that says it was them, which was called to consider their motions to dismiss the lawsuit. How did this all go into effect? Well, Blackwater's contract got involved with Iraq during the early 2020s situation that was going on there, and then the U.S. jury convicts them for it. And in December of 2020, 4 Blackwater contractors jailed for the massacre of Iraq civilians pardoned by Donald Trump. I believe they call that getting away with murder. I think that's what they call that. Let's keep going, shall we? U.S. defense contractor Erik Prince charges $6,500 per person for a seat in the plane out of Kabul. You guys remember that situation? If you guys remember, there was a lot of news swirling around how there was people who were charging the people at Kabul to get out of that airport. They were all trapped in that airport because of the situation happening there. And there's people charging them exorbitant amount of money. That was Erik Prince of Blackwater, connected to David Lopez. Yeah. U.S. and NATO forces are sending special rescue teams in the Taliban-controlled areas of the city to spirit their citizens to the airport. So U.S. defense contractor Erik Prince said he is offering people seats on a chartered plane out of Kabul for $6,500 a person. The U.S. forces we just read that. Many Afghans who thought the U.S. would protect them have, after having assisted with the U.S., remember that whole Afghani pullout situation that was with Biden, which that was not a flub. People thought that was Biden just lost control of the situation and whatnot. No, that was a deal that was being finalized. It was a transfer of goods. All the military equipment, all of the armaments, all of the cash that was there that supposedly got left behind. No, that was a transfer. It was a deal transfer that was being done. And this was the situation that came out of it, with all the people trapped in the thing, and that's what we got going on. Many Afghans who thought the U.S. would protect them after having assisted U.S.-led coalition forces in the past 2 decades are now realizing that they will most likely be left behind. Private rescue efforts are facing growing obstacles this week. Just as the urgency grows, chartered planes are now flying out of Kabul with the hundreds of empty seats. New Taliban checkpoints on the road to Pakistan have made driving out of the country increasingly risky, and so on and so forth. But yes, it was Erik Prince who was charging those prices for that. If we move on, FBI investigates Blackwater's Erik Prince over alleged support for Haftar. The FBI has launched an investigation into Erik Prince, the former head of the private security firm Blackwater and an ally of former, now sitting U.S. President Donald Trump, over his alleged involvement in illegal arms sales and money laundering. The probe is also examining Prince's connection with foreign intelligence and military elites, including the reported support for rogue military commander Khalifa Haftar. Yes. According to the Washington Babylon newspaper, the investigation focuses on three main areas. Firstly, Prince is suspected of facilitating the illegal transfer of weapons to Haftar. So we got gun smuggling, a violation of the international arms embargo on Libya. Prince is alleged to have played a significant role in assisting Haftar during the 2019 attempt to overthrow Libya's internationally recognized government. Investigation also scrutinizes whether Prince has laundered money. So we got gun smuggling, gun running, we got laundered money. There's a link to the support for Haftar. The United Nations has estimated the cost of Prince's assistance to Haftar at $80 million. Additionally, the FBI is exploring the broader relationship between the Prince and Haftar, particularly Prince's involvement in providing military support and operation handling of Haftar's forces. So basically being a military for the warlord. We getting a picture on this yet? Let's keep going. Desperate Haiti. Back at Haiti again. Desperate Haiti turns to Erik Prince, Trump ally, and fight against the gangs. Erik Prince, a private military contractor and prominent supporter of Trump, is working with Haiti's government to conduct lethal operations against gangs that are terrorizing the nation and threatening to take over its capital. You guys remember that? That wasn't too long ago. That was, last year or the year before? That wasn't that long ago that this was going on. Prince, the founder of Blackwater Worldwide, signed a contract to take the criminal groups that have been killing civilians, seizing controls of vast areas of territory, according to the senior Haitian and U.S. government officials and several other security experts familiar with Prince's work in Haiti. So we got that going on as well. There's also connections, if you guys want to look into it, where he's involved with being funded by the Bank of China. He was also allegedly involved with human trafficking, which again, go back to David Lopez, who's supposedly working with a group who was supposedly trying to stop that, but yet Erik Prince is being kind of positioned to be involved with that type of stuff. So what's going on there? Fascinating with the situation that's happening there. If that's not enough, because I don't think it is, take a look. This was during Dan Bongino's questioning of Trump naming him FBI director. And look who's sitting at the table. Dan Bongino and Erik Prince. So we got that going on too. If that's not enough. Oh, because there's more. Military contractors pitch unprecedented prison plan for detained immigrants. Erik Prince wants to cut a deal to transport detainees from the U.S. to El Salvador. That's happening right now. Former Blackwater CEO Erik Prince and a team of defense contractors are pitching the White House on a plan to vastly expand deportations to El Salvador, transporting thousands of immigrants from the U.S. holding facilities to a sprawling maximum security prison in Central America. The proposal, exclusively obtained by Politico, says it would target criminal illegal aliens. This is not the first time that Erik Prince has publicly spoke about doing this, by the way, and would attempt to avoid legal challenges by designating part of the prison, which has drawn accusations of violence and overcrowding from human rights groups and American territory. It's unclear how seriously the White House is considering the plan by Prince, which, if you look at how ICE is dressed now, they claim that it's to protect their identity. I've got a feeling that a lot of those ICE members are actually Blackwater guys. Just throwing it out there. It's unclear how seriously the White House is considering this plan to be planned by Prince, who's drawn scrutiny over his firm's role in the deadly massacre in Iraq 2 decades ago. How Prince is not behind bars shows how the bribery system works. But it would give Prince's group an unprecedented and potentially high lucrative role in the expanded version of a transnational operation that has elicited his own webs of controversies, in part because it has swept up immigrants who do not have criminal records in the United States. Not only that, but they have swept up a bunch of U.S. citizens and shipped them out of the country, even though that they were U.S. citizens, but they were not given due process, which means they just got wrangled up and thrown out of the country. There's a lot of reports regarding that as well. Very interesting how all that's working out on that. So far, we're not done. I'll point this. I just happened to catch this at the right time. Erik Prince has been on Steve Bannon multiple times. Used to watch Bannon, but no more. Yeah, Bannon. If you guys don't know, he's also been pointed at for being funded by Chinese nationalists. Bannon has also been reported to have 15 hours of personal interviews with Jeffrey Epstein, which have not been released. And he's also highly connected to Erik Prince as well in regards to that. So yeah, Bannon's a moron and needs to be avoided as well. So I'm glad I saw that. But we're not done. So far, how does this trail work? We've got Foster Coulson and David Lopez, who started the wellness company. They also fund nanotechnology with connections to DARPA and to the Department of Defense, as well as to the main dude who founded Moderna and is also connected to Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson. They're connected to Blackwater's Erik Prince, who's heavily involved with David Lopez in regards to that, and has been on record for doing many abominations and wants to get involved with the shipping out of illegal immigrants. We following so far? Doesn't stop there. We just keep on rolling. Security contractor Erik Prince reportedly recruited ex-spies to help Project Veritas infiltrate liberal groups. Yeah, the O'Keefe guy, Project Veritas, that somehow managed to get all the undercover admitting of things in their recordings and stuff like that, where a lot of them look staged. Yeah, this is a part of that as well too. Erik Prince, a security contractor with close ties to the Trump administration, recruited former spies to infiltrate various Democratic organizations, including a congressional campaign. Multiple documents and interviews revealed. One of the operatives recruited by Prince, a former MI6 agent, ran a 2017 sting in which he copied files and recorded conversations from a Michigan office of the American Federation of Teachers, one of the country's largest teacher union. The same operative also went undercover in now Representative Abigail Spanberger's congressional campaign. When the campaign discovered this, the agent was fired. Both of the operations were run by Project Veritas, conservative group that was gained notoriety as of late for running these kinds of sting operations on news organizations, Democratic lawmakers, and left-leaning advocacy groups. Now, you're probably sitting here going, well, that's just what they're saying. Well, if we look at it, ran in 2017. If we go straight to the horse's mouth, a post from James O'Keefe in 10th of February 2017, it says, with Project Veritas' special training, we will be the next great intelligence agency. Our team is undergoing intense training from a classified location, which has now been confirmed as Erik Prince's personal ranch, which that's where that picture's at, as we make Project Veritas the next great intelligence agency. That's right. Project Veritas and James O'Keefe were trained by Blackwater agents. But we can trust the information that they give us, right? Because Blackwater's the good guys, right? Let's keep going. Prince is the former head of Blackwater Worldwide and the brother, here we go, brother of Education Secretary during Trump's first term, Betsy DeVos. At times, he has served as an informal advisor to officials within the Trump administration. According to the documents obtained by The Times, Prince started using former spies to train Project Veritas employees in espionage at some point during the 2016 presidential campaign. Head of Project Veritas, James O'Keefe, declined to give detailed answers about Prince and the operations, but called Project Veritas a proud independent news organization and said it was currently conducting multiple investigations. Let's get back here. Betsy DeVos. Let's take a look. What's up with her? There's Betsy. Betsy DeVos is an American philanthropist, and Republican political activist who served as the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Education from 2017 to 2021 in the administration of Donald Trump. And what we want to find out here, her siblings include Erik Prince, founder of the private security agency Blackwater USA. Betsy is the sister of Erik Prince. Just getting more and more connections regarding this. I said we'd be back to Glenn Beck, and DeVos make a deal. The Blaze, one of the original conservative politics meets lifestyle brands of the digital media era, has raised a new round of financing investors from including the billionaire DeVos family. It's just crazy. Yeah, so if you guys don't know, in 2018, Blaze Media merged with Mark Levins. We all know him, right? CRTV. And now in the latest group of funding, I believe this was 2023, yes, they received money from the DeVos family, who's connected to Betsy and her brother, Erik Prince of Blackwater. So let's keep the theme here. We're talking about this quote-unquote good, trustworthy, conservative media narrative group that's supposedly telling us the truth of what's going on are being funded by Blackwater and people directly from the Trump administration. But we're supposed to trust that information because that's the good information, right? That's the good stuff. That's supposedly what I've been told. So we got that going on. Now you're probably looking at this going, hey, you only got 2 tabs left on that. Nope. You'd be wrong. I had to have 2 browsers for the amount of stuff. And we're just cracking the surface. Let's take a look at this. This was published January 11th, 2024, the year of the parallel economy, written by Foster Coulson. Remember Foster Coulson? We're back here. Tracks of time. Christian nationalism is another subject to keep eyes on too. Go check out a podcast that I did called 7 Mountains. I break down what Christian nationalism is. I did that podcast last year, I think. So go back on my live streams and you can find it. And I break down what it is. So go check that out. Let's see what Foster Coulson has to say. Keep in mind, this is on the Vigilant News Network. Let's just keep an eye on that. As the year ends, another begins. A new year brings equal parts reflection on the past year and planning for the year ahead. And skipping down, it says the scourge of wokeism and cancel culture. The 2 things that were the main narrative, a part of the right-wing news network for such a long time, right? Scourge of wokeism and cancel culture, coupled with the horrific experiences of the draconian lockdowns and mandates. Keep in mind, who was the one that instituted those? That would be Donald Trump's administration. Created a real opening to build a parallel economy, one that is free from corrupting influence of the left-wing money and control. That's right. So to fight against the left-wing money and control, we're going to create our own right-wing money and control. And none of them give a rip about you. Both of them are funded by the same puppet master. And so they're just playing you in order to make this happen. 2023, my companies across the spectrum of emerging parallel economy are touching more people's lives in a tangible way than any other out there from today. From providing the news, helping people find connection, health, and wellness, to tomorrow's cures, my group of companies are here to fight for our freedoms and for a better and brighter tomorrow. Man, he should be a politician as well. Well, we don't care what else he has to say about that. Let's just take a look at what's going on here. So my flagship company, the Wellness Company, we have definitely firmly established what that's all involved with that. We'll take a look a little bit more. He founded Zelenko Labs with Dr. Vladimir Zelenko. So we've got that as well. Q Biologics, which we just talked, which we saw that on the list as well. And he's also shareholder in NanoBioSim. So he's involved with that as well. What about Connection and Community? What else is he in part of? The Unjected.com. How many people have heard of that? Which is supposedly the dating app for people who are unjabbed. Did you not? He invented that as well. But what we want to focus on is this. He founded Vigilant News Network as a free and open network to bring people the latest unmanipulated stories, and have partnered with amazing truth-telling outlets such as the prophecy community's favorite website that I continue to say, don't get your news from there, Gateway Pundit. Foster Coulson and his news network partnered with the Gateway Pundit. Let's keep going, shall we? We got a lot to go. So here's where we start pulling off the Band-Aid. Who is connected to the Wellness Company? Who is receiving money from Foster Coulson and David Lopez and all that they're a part of? Where are these groups getting? See, the thing is people need to realize that the podcasts, those who are the sponsors of the podcasts are the ones who have control of the podcasts. Because if the podcasters want the money from the sponsors, they have to do what they're told. It's always been that way. Same thing goes for TV networks. Same thing goes for radio groups, the radio stations and whatnot. It's the sponsors that have the full control of what's going on. And so Foster Coulson and David Lopez and their Wellness Company, who are they sponsoring? Let's do it. Newsmax, The People's Voice, Ted Nugent, Patriot Barbie, Mel K, O'Keefe Media Group, which, by the way, had an interview with none other than Erik Prince several times. Zuby, Real America's Voice, the Glenn Greenwald. Most of these people have contracts with Rumble, by the way. Todd Starnes, who I believe I pointed out something that he said when the quote-unquote assassination of Donald Trump took place, said that if your pastor doesn't cover that, then they basically need to stop being a pastor. Yeah, he was the one who said that. The Quartering, Alex Jones, who amazingly flipped to being pro-Trump all of a sudden, right? Roseanne Barr, Jack Posobiec, Arian Wexler. By the way, all the people who received the Epstein binders during that show that happened at the earlier this year are all sponsored by the Wellness Company. DC Drano, Dennis Prager, yeah, Chad Prather, Benny Johnson, David Rubin, who's supposedly conservative but is married to a dude and is getting 2 surrogate kids. Yeah. What's her name? Liz Wheeler. Red Voice Media. Alex Stein. Zero Hedge. Jimmy Dore. Alex Clark. X22 Report. JP Sears. Laura Loomer. RSBN. The Daily Clout or Naomi Wolf. Shannon Joy. Viva Frey. Russell Brand. Candace Owens. The Pete Santilli Show. Redacted. Ark of Grace or Amanda Grace. Breitbart. Which they've even got a whole sponsored section for the wellness company on their website, by the way. Rebel News, sponsored as well. Maria Z. You head down, she's got it right here. Visit the wellness company, get 5% off. Promo code. Charlie Kirk. Kim Iverson. Rumble itself, which, by the way, announced in 2024, the wellness company is proud to announce a $6 million advertising commitment with Rumble, which, and I covered this in the Trump card episode, Narya, which is J.D. Vance's investment group, and Peter Thiel lead investment in Rumble, that's in 2021, and Donald Trump's True Social partners with Rumble and bid to take on YouTube. And, of course, Gateway Pundit. Which, if we move over here, we get Gateway Pundit introducing Ivory Hecker, the host of Gateway Beyond the Headlines on Vigilant News Network. That is Foster Coulson's founded news network. Announcing Gateway Beyond the Headlines, Vigilant News Network. But the only thing is Vigilant News Network is now been taken over by a group called Rift TV, which Rift TV is Eliza Schaefer. Eliza Schaefer is a journalist at the Giftway, is chief executive officer of Rift TV, journalist of the Gateway Pundit, slightly offensive with Eliza Schaefer, and has been involved with Blaze Media, actually got kicked out of Blaze Media for sexual misconduct going on over there as well. We jump over, here's the coffee company. Remember Folsom Coffee, the 1775 coffee company? You got Kim Guilfoyle, I can never pronounce her name, Donald Trump Jr., Russell Brand, Jimmy Dore, and you got these guys, Steven Crowder, David Rubin, Donald Trump, and Russell Brand. They are all connected as well. This is why I don't trust these people. And bringing it back around, you guys remember this? Because this is where it all really started to culminate. The Great Reawakening versus the Great Reset, where it was the good guys taking on the evil globalists because of their coof stuff. Half of the people, which is sponsored by Charisma News, by the way. Charisma Media, where all the people like Alan Didio and Benny Hinn and Jonathan Kahn and stuff sell their stuff at, Jimmy Evans and so on and so forth. But half of the people connected to the wellness company are connected to this as well. Mel K, there's Dr. Zelenko again, Charlie Kirk is there, Roseanne, there's Kash Patel, Stella Emanuel, Chad Prather, Sean Foyt, we just went over him. Seth Wholehouse, Man in America, is on there as well. Laura Trump, Peter McCullough, who's involved with the main doctor dude there, Mike Lindell, Michael Flynn, Roger Stone, Mickey Willis, who has high connections to Erik Prince, Erik Prince as well. In regards to that, Eric Trump is there, Ann Vandersteel, Mike Adams, Sidney Powell, Simone Gold, Peter Navarro, Amanda Grace, Sherry Tenpenny, who's all connected to the Awakening movement as well. Greg Locke involved with that. It just keeps going. Alec Jones, Rudy Giuliani is involved with that. Alina Habba is there. A whole bunch of different pastors and stuff. Jeffrey Prather is there as well. Julie Green, Nick Vajuk, I can never pronounce his last name. Dude with no arms and no legs. Lara Logan, Ken Paxton, Sam Sorbo, the wife of Kevin Sorbo, Alex Stein, Joe Hoft. It just keeps on going who are involved with this whole thing. Mike Smith, Jane Ruby is another one that's involved with that. Arthur Pawlowski, and so on and so forth. If somebody asks me, do you not trust anybody on that list? I do not. I would not trust a single name connected to the ReAwaken Tour or the Wellness Company. Some people might be saying that's taking it too far. I don't think so. I don't think you're taking it far enough. Just because they present something, that you agree with that might be right, does not mean that they are not controlled opposition. We talked about Tucker Carlson all the time. He was managing to say things on Fox News. How is he getting away with that? Because they let him. Because they wanted him to. And then he built up a giant reputation when then he got kicked out of Fox News, and everybody threw their support behind Tucker Carlson when he started his own thing, and everybody started to follow him. Now look at where he sits. Now look at what he's doing. Same with Alex Jones, built that reputation through InfoWars, got a bunch of stuff right, and started taking people into the wrong direction. It's the same thing with all of the lawfare that happened with Donald Trump. You put him in for the first thing, you fight all this stuff against him, you throw in chaos afterwards, you start going after him with all the lawfare and the quote-unquote assassination attempts and so on and so forth. You build up this trust, as the WEF would say, rebuilding trust at their Davos meeting, and then everybody threw their support behind him, and now look at what he's giving you. It's the same thing with these wellness company podcasters. The reason why they have that money and that sponsorship, and they're in the positions that they are, getting all the Rumble money, getting promoted, being so involved with all this stuff, is because they want you to trust them. So whatever they tell you, you're on board. The problem is they give you some truth and they give you some lie. And they continue to drag you down the wrong direction by utilizing limited hangout. This is what's going on. This is how they do it. This is how they get you. So when it comes to these people that I just listed out, that's not all of them. That's not all of them. I just gave you some of them. There's a bunch out there. Other ones that you may or may not have heard of, like Salty Cracker and Jules Jones and all these people. They've got contracts there too. They're all a part of it. And that you see how severely tied to the Rumble store that they are, which Foster Coulson owns. He created that. You can see the connected to Blackwater, connected to private military groups and private security firms that have ties to massacres, has ties to human trafficking, that has ties to political and governmental organizations outside and inside the United States, has connections to the Trump administration, has connections to all these places, including Smart Dust and biomedical and all that junk. So this is one of those situations where when you go over it, some people want to say you can't just blanket it and go, I'm going to avoid all those people. I absolutely can. And you know what the funny thing is? Is all the information that I managed to find, which I know there's a lot that I don't get, but still the information that I managed to get, I don't have to listen to any one of those people to find it. I don't listen to any of those people, and I still manage to find the information that I do. And a lot of the information that I do find, they don't talk about because they don't want you to know about that stuff because they are narrative driven, just like the left media as well. Same people. This is why it's so important that we realize that in the time that we're living right now, when Jesus Christ said, "Do not be deceived. Take heed. Do not be deceived." I don't think we truly understand the depths of that warning. I don't think we do. I don't think we have a firm grasp on the depths of that warning. I can tell you this. The only thing that we can trust, we do our best to try and navigate and find somewhat of a semblance of truth in this world. The only thing that we can truly count on, that we can put our full trust in, and know that we can believe it, is the Word of God. The Word of God. That is the only thing that we can place unquestioning faith in.